It was 7:35 p.m. when Daniel first heard the knock. He had just settled into his favorite armchair with a cup of coffee, ready to unwind after a long day at the office. The house was quiet. Too quiet, probably the neighbor borrowing sugar again. He muttered to himself, standing and heading to the door. When he opened it, he froze. Standing there was a man he hadn't seen in over 6 years. Tall, confident, and with the kind of smile that used to make hearts skip his wife's ex-boyfriend. Eric. Daniel's chest tightened. "Can I help you?" he asked cautiously, keeping his tone neutral. Eric's eyes flickered, scanning Daniel up and down, then settling on the familiar ring on Daniel's hand. "Is Sarah home?" he asked softly. Daniel stepped aside. "Yeah, she's inside, but I have to warn you she's not expecting anyone." Eric nodded, seemingly unfazed. "I know, I just need to see her. It's important." Daniel felt a twinge of irritation. After all these years, why now? Why here? But he stepped back, letting him in, though he couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to change. Inside, the house smelled of fresh lavender and cinnamon. Daniel's eyes caught Sarah in the kitchen, humming as she put the kettle on. Her hair fell in soft waves around her shoulders. She looked up, and her eyes widened. "Eric," she whispered, almost frozen in place. Eric's voice softened. "Sarah, I didn't mean to just show up like this. I needed to see you. One last time." Daniel felt a rush of something he couldn't name, anger, suspicion, maybe even fear. He didn't move. He just watched. Sarah's hand went to her chest, and she took a step toward Eric. "It's been so long. I didn't expect." Eric's gaze dropped, then rose again. "I know I made mistakes. I know I hurt you. But I've changed, Sarah. I've been thinking about the past a lot lately." Daniel's jaw tightened. He wanted to interrupt, to remind Eric that the past was over, that Sarah was his wife now. But something in Sarah's eyes, confusion, longing, a shadow of old memories, made him pause. "Daniel," Sarah said, her voice trembling slightly. He just showed up. I didn't know he would come." Daniel nodded slowly, fighting the urge to speak sharply. He kept his tone calm, even though every nerve in his body screamed, "I understand. Just keep it brief. We're all tired tonight." Eric glanced at Daniel, then back at Sarah. "I promise, I won't stay long." Sarah led him to the living room, her hands slightly shaking. Daniel remained in the kitchen doorway, silently observing, feeling like an intruder in his own home. Eric sank onto the couch, his fingers lacing together nervously. "I never should have left things the way I did," he began. "I regret it every single day. I need to tell you the truth, Sarah. Everything I kept from you back then." Sarah's eyes widened, a flicker of anxiety crossing her face. "Eric, we've moved on. Daniel, he's my husband now. You know that." "I know," Eric said quietly. "But there are things you never told him. Things I found out recently. Things he deserves to know." Daniel stiffened. His heart beat faster. What could she have hidden? And why would Eric know it now? After all this time. The tension was thick. Neither Daniel nor Sarah spoke for a long moment. The air felt heavy, charged with the weight of years, secrets, and unspoken words. Finally, Sarah's voice broke the silence. I never wanted to hurt you, Daniel. Never. But some things, I thought I had buried them for a reason." Eric leaned forward, his voice trembling with urgency. "Sarah, it's time. Daniel needs to know the truth. No more lies. No more hiding. It's the only way to move forward." Daniel's stomach twisted. He had trusted her completely, or at least, he thought he had. And then, almost as if the room held its breath, Sarah exhaled deeply and said something that made Daniel's heart drop. It was a confession he wasn't ready to hear, a truth that would change everything he thought he knew about his life, his marriage, and the woman he loved. And just as she began to speak, she paused, looking between them, a tear forming in her eye. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more touching tales. Daniel's mind raced. How long had she been keeping this secret? And more importantly, why? The door closed softly behind Eric, and the house felt smaller, tighter, charged with anticipation. Daniel wanted to ask her, wanted answers now. But words failed him. He only knew one thing for certain. Nothing would ever be the same again. The tension was unbearable, and as Sarah finally began to speak, the first thread of her hidden truths started to unravel. The room seemed to shrink around them. Every heartbeat was loud, every glance heavy with the weight of the unspoken. Daniel realized that the past wasn't just behind. Demit had arrived at the doorstep, and it wasn't leaving any time soon. Sarah's eyes shimmered with unshed tears as she struggled for the right words. Daniel watched her closely, sensing both fear and regret in her gaze. Daniel, she began, her voice barely above a whisper. There's something I should have told you a long time ago. Something about Eric and me, before we ever met you. Daniel's hands tightened at his sides. He braced himself, though he wasn't sure what he was bracing for. Sarah swallowed hard, glancing at Eric. It was complicated back then. Eric, he loved me, yes, but I didn't. I didn't feel the same way. Or at least, I thought I didn't. I thought I could move on. And I did. I tried to. Really? Eric's gaze softened. It's true. I made mistakes, Sarah. I let my pride get in the way, and I hurt you. But I've learned from that. I wanted closure. And now, I think we both need the truth out in the open. Daniel's pulse quickened. He could feel the tension coiling tighter inside him. Sarah, what exactly are you hiding? He asked, his voice firm but not raised. Sarah looked down, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her sleeve. It's not easy to say. I didn't want to hurt you. I thought keeping it buried would protect us. But now, Eric's here, and I realize I can't hide it anymore. Eric shifted in his seat. Sarah made a choice when she met Daniel, and it was the right choice. But there's something from our past. Something she never told him. Daniel's stomach turned. He had always believed he knew her fully, trusted her completely. And yet, here he was, facing a secret he never imagined. Sarah took a deep breath, her voice shaking. Before we got married, there was an incident. Eric, he helped me through it. He was there when I needed someone, and I kept it from you, Daniel, because I didn't want the past to affect what we have now. Daniel's mind reeled. An incident? What kind of incident? Sarah hesitated, then continued. I was going through a rough time, family issues, and I made some choices I regret. Eric, he knew about everything. He supported me, but I didn't tell you because I was afraid you'd see me differently. Eric nodded slowly. She trusted me with that part of her life. Daniel, I didn't push her to tell you. I respected that. But now, you deserve to know. You deserve honesty. Daniel felt a mix of emotions swirling inside him, relief that it wasn't something catastrophic, anger that she hadn't trusted him, and fear of what it meant for their relationship. Sarah, he began, but words caught in his throat. He didn't know if he was angry or hurt or both. Why now? Why bring it up after all these years? Sarah's eyes glistened. Because Eric came back, and I realized that hiding it any longer isn't fair to you. I want you to know everything. I want us to move forward without secrets. Daniel looked at Eric. And you? What do you want from all of this? Eric's voice was steady, almost gentle. Closure. That's all. And to make sure Daniel knows the truth, straight from her, without any misunderstandings. Daniel's jaw tightened. And what if this changes things? What if it makes me see her differently? Sarah shook her head, tears slipping down her cheeks. I hope not. I love you, Daniel. I've never stopped. But I needed to be honest. I couldn't carry this secret any longer. The room fell silent. Daniel felt the weight of her words pressing down on him. The past, which he thought had been neatly tucked away, was now spilling into the present. He walked over to the window, staring out at the darkening sky. The city lights blurred in his vision. He had so many questions, so many doubts. And yet, beneath it all, there was a part of him that wanted to understand, to forgive, to keep their life together. Sarah approached slowly, placing her hand gently on his arm. Daniel, please, don't let this ruin what we have. I made mistakes, but I love you. That's the truth I want you to hold on to. Daniel turned, looking into her eyes. He saw sincerity, vulnerability, and a flicker of the woman he fell in love with, but the unease remained. Eric cleared his throat softly. I should probably go soon, he said. I don't want to overstay my welcome. Sarah, I hope you're okay. Sarah nodded, wiping her cheeks. I will be. Thank you, Eric, for understanding. Daniel exhaled slowly. I need some time, he admitted. His voice was low, thoughtful. This is a lot to process. Eric gave a small, understanding smile. Take all the time you need. Just know, the past is behind us. What matters now is how you move forward. Sarah reached for Daniel's hand, holding it tightly. We'll get through this, she whispered. Together. Daniel squeezed her hand back, though uncertainty lingered. The room was quiet, but the silence was heavy with unspoken fears and questions. And then, just as they thought the moment was settling, Eric hesitated near the doorway. There's one more thing, he said. His tone was different, now serious, almost urgent. Daniel and Sarah both froze. "What is it?" Sarah asked, a tremor in her voice. Eric swallowed hard. "Something I discovered recently. About Sarah. About why I left in the first place. It changes everything." Daniel's stomach sank. He felt his heart drop. What could be worse than what they had just uncovered? Sarah's face went pale. "Eric, what are you talking about?" Eric's eyes met Daniel's. "I think it's time you hear the full truth. Not just from her, but from me too." The tension in the room grew unbearable. Daniel realized that the past wasn't just coming back. It was about to crash into their present in ways he hadn't imagined. And as Eric took a deep breath, ready to reveal what he had kept hidden for years, Daniel knew that nothing would ever feel the same again. The air felt thick with anticipation. Every second dragged, every glance was heavy with meaning, and then Eric spoke, the words slicing through the quiet like a knife. Eric's voice was steady, but there was a weight to it that made Daniel and Sarah tense. "Years ago," Eric began, "before I left, before everything fell apart between us, I discovered something about Sarah, something I didn't understand at the time. And I think you need to know it now, Daniel." Daniel's jaw tightened. His mind raced. What could this be? Was it another secret? Something she had hidden even from him? Sarah's hand gripped Daniel's lightly, as if trying to anchor him. "Eric, please," she whispered. "It's okay. You don't have to. I have to." Eric interrupted gently, shaking his head. "It's part of the truth. And Daniel deserves to hear it. Sarah, I want to be honest, not hurt you further. But you both need to understand what really happened back then." Daniel took a slow breath. "All right, say it." His voice was calm, but inside, his heart pounded. Eric glanced at Sarah, then back at Daniel. "Sarah, you were going through a difficult time. Family troubles, personal struggles. You weren't entirely ready to face life on your own. I didn't realize the extent of it then. And when I left, it wasn't because I stopped caring. It was because I thought I was protecting both of us. I thought I had to go, so you could grow without me interfering." Sarah's lips trembled. "Eric, that's not exactly I know," Eric said, holding up a hand. "There's more. I just want Daniel to understand the context. You see, the reason I left wasn't only about me. It was about a choice you made, Sarah. A choice you didn't feel ready to tell anyone, and it shaped everything afterward." Daniel's chest tightened. He looked between them. "A choice? What choice?" Sarah took a deep breath. "It's hard to explain. Years ago, before I met Daniel, I made a decision that I regretted immediately. It involved Eric. He knows exactly what I did. And I never wanted anyone else to know, because I was ashamed." Eric nodded. "She wasn't ready to face the consequences at the time. I didn't push her. But Daniel, you need to hear it. The truth." Daniel's heart thudded painfully. "Sarah, please, just tell me. I need to hear it from you." Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. I took something that didn't belong to me, not in a criminal sense, but emotionally. I betrayed someone's trust, someone I loved at the time, and I kept it hidden because I was scared of losing everything I cared about." Daniel's mind reeled. You what?" Sarah's eyes glistened. "I didn't tell Eric everything back then. I made mistakes. I hurt people. I hurt you in ways I couldn't imagine. And I thought Daniel would never forgive me if he knew." Daniel sank into a chair, feeling the room spin. "All these years, you kept this from me." Sarah nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I never wanted to hurt you. I loved you too much to risk losing you. But now, Eric came back, and I realized the truth can't stay hidden anymore." Eric leaned forward, his expression calm but intense. "Daniel, she made a choice that shaped her past, but she didn't make that choice lightly. She grew from it, and what she has now, her love for you, it's real, genuine, honest." Daniel's hands trembled slightly. He felt the full weight of what they were telling him. The woman he loved, the life he thought he understood. It had layers he hadn't seen before. "I don't know what to say," he admitted, his voice cracking. "I feel betrayed, but I see the truth. I see her heart." Sarah stepped closer. "Daniel, please. I am still the same person who fell in love with you. I made mistakes in the past, yes, but I am yours. Completely, and I want to spend the rest of my life proving that to you." Daniel exhaled slowly. His mind was a storm of confusion, fear, and longing. He wanted to push them both away. He wanted to run from the past. And yet, he couldn't deny the depth of his feelings for Sarah. Eric's tone softened. "I'll leave you two to process this. I don't want to cause more pain, but I hope this clears the air. The past is no longer something to hide from. And Daniel, I hope you understand her choices were never meant to harm you. Sarah clutched Daniel's hands. Please, don't let this ruin us. I love you. That's the truth that matters now. Daniel closed his eyes for a long moment. His heart raced, his mind spinning. He had always believed trust was absolute in a marriage. But now, trust had been tested, stretched to its limits. He opened his eyes, looking at Sarah. I need time to process everything, but I want to try. I want to understand. I want to move forward. With honesty, from here on. Sarah smiled through her tears, relief washing over her face. Thank you, Daniel. That's all I needed. That's all I ever needed. Eric stood, giving them a small, reassuring nod. I'll go now. Take care of each other. And remember, truth, even when painful, is what makes love real. As he left, the door clicked shut. The house felt quiet again, but the air was charged with the remnants of raw emotion. Daniel and Sarah sat together in silence. Their hands intertwined. Words weren't necessary yet. They both knew the journey ahead wouldn't be easy. But for the first time in a long time, there was clarity. And then, a sudden notification on Daniel's phone made both of them freeze. It was an email, marked urgent, from a name neither had expected to hear from. Daniel opened it. His eyes widened. His heart sank. Sarah leaned over, peering at the screen. Daniel, what is it? The message was short, chilling, and impossible to ignore. It hinted at someone else, someone from Sarah's past, coming back into their lives in a way that could change everything again. Daniel felt the weight of his chest tighten. It's not over, he whispered. Not yet. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in, as both realized their past wasn't done with them. Not by a long shot. Daniel stared at the email on his phone, his fingers trembling slightly. The sender was a name he hadn't seen in years, someone connected to Sarah's past in ways he had never imagined. Sarah leaned in. Her brow furrowed. Daniel, what does it say? He swallowed hard, trying to steady his voice. It's someone from your past. They're saying they know the truth. Everything, and they want to meet. Sarah's face paled. Meet who? Why now? Daniel shook his head. I don't know, but it's urgent. And Sarah, it feels serious. Really serious. The air between them grew heavy. The past, which they thought they had confronted with Eric, was stretching out its shadows once more. Sarah pressed her hand to her lips. I didn't think anyone else would ever know. Not after all this time. But clearly, I was wrong. Daniel tried to breathe, trying to calm the storm inside him. We've faced so much already. Secrets, confessions. Now this, Sarah. I need to know the whole story. Who is this? Sarah hesitated, her eyes distant. It's someone connected to the incident Eric and I mentioned. Someone who, they know exactly what happened. And they might be dangerous. Not in a physical sense, but emotionally. Daniel, they could ruin everything we've built. Daniel felt a cold knot tighten in his stomach. He had never felt so powerless in his life. He wanted to protect her, to protect their marriage, but the truth had a way of slipping through even the tightest grip. Eric, sensing the tension from across the room, spoke gently. Daniel, Sarah has been honest with you about everything she could control. This is outside her control. But knowing is better than guessing. Sarah looked at Eric, gratitude and fear in her eyes. Thank you for being honest. Even after all these years, you never wanted to hurt him. Eric nodded. I've learned that some truths are heavy, but they don't have to break you. They just test your strength. Both of you. Daniel closed his eyes and let out a slow breath. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him, not just as a husband, but as someone who had to navigate the fragile threads of trust and love. Okay, he said finally, opening his eyes. We deal with this together. No running. No hiding. Whatever this person wants, we face it as a team. Sarah's hand found his again, and she squeezed it. Together, she whispered. The next day the message had led them to a small, dimly lit cafe in the city. Sarah seemed tense, her eyes flicking nervously around the room as Daniel followed closely behind. I don't know what they'll say, Sarah admitted quietly. I'm scared, Daniel. I don't want to lose you over something from my past. Daniel looked at her, determination in his eyes. Sarah, you've already shown me the truth. You've faced your past, and I've seen it. I won't let someone else from your past undo everything we've built, not without hearing it from them first. They approached a corner table where a figure was seated. The person rose as they neared a woman in her late 30s, sharp eyes and a calm, unreadable expression. Sarah, she said, her voice smooth but carrying weight. It's been a long time. Sarah stiffened. It's been years, Angela. Daniel studied her carefully. Something about her presence was unnerving. She exuded confidence and awareness, as if she knew exactly how her arrival would affect them. Angela's gaze shifted to Daniel. And you must be Daniel. Sarah has spoken about you, but not everything. That's why I reached out. The truth needs to be clarified, for everyone's sake. Daniel felt the tension spike. Clarified? What do you mean? Angela's lips curved slightly. I know about the incident from years ago, and I know there are things Sarah didn't tell you. I'm not here to judge, but some truths, if hidden, can change the balance of a life. Sarah's face paled. Angela, please. Daniel already knows the important parts. He trusts me. I don't want this. Angela raised a hand, stopping her. Sarah, it's not about trust. It's about consequences. Some things can't be buried forever, and I'm here to make sure that both of you understand everything before it's too late. Daniel's mind raced. How much more could Sarah have hidden? How much more could he handle? Angela continued, her tone calm but unwavering. Years ago, what happened was a mistake. But mistakes leave ripples. I've been affected, and I need to know. Will the truth be acknowledged? Will justice, of sorts, be served? Sarah's voice shook. Daniel, I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I tried to make things right. Daniel felt his chest tighten. He wanted to defend her, to tell Angela she was forgiven, but he also felt the gravity of the situation. They were standing at the edge of a storm that had been years in the making. Angela leaned back slightly, her eyes never leaving them. You'll understand soon enough. The past has a way of catching up, no matter how far you think you've run. Daniel took a deep breath, gripping Sarah's hand tightly. Whatever comes, we face it together, he said firmly. Sarah nodded, her lips trembling with both fear and hope. Together, she echoed. But as they left the cafe, the city around them buzzing with life, Daniel realized that Angela's visit was only the beginning. Their past, Sarah's secrets, Eric's revelations, and now Angela's shadow were converging. And he knew one thing for certain. The calm they thought they had found was gone. The storm was coming. The city lights blurred around Daniel as he and Sarah walked home from the cafe. The air was crisp, the kind that carried both chill and clarity. Every step felt heavy, loaded with the weight of everything they had just faced. Sarah's fingers trembled in his. Daniel, I'm sorry, she whispered. I never wanted any of this to happen. I wanted a simple life, with honesty, love. With you. Daniel squeezed her hand. Sarah, it's not just on you. Life has a way of bringing the past forward. What matters is how we respond now. And I choose to respond with you, not against you. They reached their front door, the familiar warmth of home waiting for them. But inside, Daniel knew nothing would feel quite the same. They had crossed a threshold, stepping into a space where honesty and trust were tested beyond measure. Sarah looked up at him, her eyes glistening. Do you really mean that? After everything? Daniel nodded slowly. I do. I mean it with all my heart. You've been honest now, in ways that matter most. And I see your courage. That's what makes love real. For the first time in days, a genuine smile broke across Sarah's face. Relief, hope, and gratitude mingled there. I love you, Daniel. Always have. Always will. Daniel pulled her close, holding her tightly. I love you too, and we'll face whatever comes next. Together. The days that followed weren't easy. Angela's visit left questions lingering, but she didn't bring conflict, she brought perspective. Daniel and Sarah talked endlessly, untangling emotions, confronting doubts, and slowly rebuilding the trust that had been strained. Eric remained a quiet presence in the background, checking in occasionally. He didn't try to interfere, only to offer reassurance when needed. Over time, Daniel came to understand the complexity of Eric and Sarah's past, not as a threat, but as a part of the story that had shaped the woman he loved. One evening, Daniel and Sarah sat on the porch, the sunset painting the sky in gold and pink, their hands intertwined, their hearts lighter than they had been in weeks. I never imagined all this would happen, Sarah said softly. I thought we'd just live quietly, happy, but life had other plans. Daniel smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Sometimes, the plans life gives us aren't simple. They're messy, complicated, even painful, but they also make love stronger. And I've learned, no secret, no past mistake, can outweigh what we have together now. Sarah rested her head on his shoulder. You really believe that? I do, Daniel said firmly. We've faced truths, confessions, shadows from the past, and we're still standing. That's proof, isn't it? She nodded, a tear slipping down her cheek. This time of happiness rather than fear. It is, and I promise, Daniel, From now on, only honesty. No more secrets. Daniel kissed her forehead gently. Agreed. We move forward. Together. Stronger than ever. The following weeks brought a sense of calm. The storm of revelations had passed, leaving lessons learned, hearts mended, and trust renewed. Daniel and Sarah found a new rhythm, one that embraced transparency, patience, and deep love. Eric eventually moved on, satisfied that his return had served its purpose. He and Sarah shared a quiet farewell, a moment of understanding and forgiveness. The past had been acknowledged, the truth laid bare, and everyone involved could finally breathe freely. Daniel and Sarah celebrated their renewed bond quietly, savoring the small moments: morning coffee, late-night talks, walks through the city park. Each moment was richer, deeper, because they had faced the shadows together and emerged stronger. One evening, as they watched the stars shimmer above, Sarah whispered, "Do you think life will ever be simple?" Daniel chuckled softly, "Probably not, but it will be ours. Honest, real, and together. That's enough for me." Sarah smiled, leaning against him. "It's enough for me too." And in that quiet, perfect moment, Daniel realized something profound. Love wasn't about perfection. It was about facing life's storms hand in hand, embracing the past, and choosing each other every single day. The past had returned, secrets had been revealed, and hearts had been tested, but love, true love, had endured. And now, with the truth finally out, Daniel and Sarah could finally step forward into a future built on honesty, trust, and unwavering devotion. The house was quiet, the city still buzzing beyond the windows. Inside, two hearts beat in unison, stronger than any storm that life could send their way. The past was behind them, but the lessons lingered, reminders that even in the darkest shadows, love could shine brighter than ever. Daniel held Sarah close, whispering softly, "No more secrets, just us." She smiled against his chest, "Just us." And for the first time in a long while, they believed it completely. The end.